Alrighty. And with that, again, welcome to our webinar this morning. This is part of our AcreValue 101 series. We're going to be talking about new features to simplify land research. So we'll be going over some of the primary information on AcreValue, as well as a few new features that make it easier for you to use the system. Leading the webinar here today will be our Customer Success Manager, Don Lepard. So I will turn it over to Don.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Don Lepard, Customer Success Manager here at AcreValue. You've just heard from my colleague, Jeff Nazuka, Lead Account Executive. Toward the end of the webinar, we will discuss how you get signed up for AcreValue. Jeff can assist you with any professional users regarding questions you might have about AcreValue. Today's webinar, AcreValue 101, will be covering basics on how to use AcreValue. So specifically, we'll start with an overview of how to generate a report and what data is found there. Next, we will discuss how to research property records and land characteristics by way of our custom data searches. We also have new filters for finding landowners and properties. Then next, we'll highlight our newest feature, saved searches. This helps you revisit frequent searches anytime you need. And then lastly, Jeff will go over custom data services available to our professional users. So before I get started with the demo of the product itself, I'd like to just discuss what is AcreValue. AcreValue is the gold standard land research. When we look at what AcreValue is, we can kind of distill it down into like these four pillars here. And so the first thing you'll see here is the landowner profile here in the top right-hand corner, which includes landowners' names, contact information, including potential phone numbers and email addresses. Next, you'll see comparables, which are recently sold transactions of sold land. In real estate, appraisers and realtors use like-kind properties to determine land values for their clients. Also, being able to see recent transactions will give a solid estimate of current land values. Next, we'll discuss land characteristics. Oops, sorry. Next, we'll discuss land characteristics. And then here, this includes like crop history, flood, soil maps, and brand new elevation and topography maps that were recently added to AcreValue. And then lastly, energy infrastructure. You'll see local energy infrastructure as well, including nearby transmission lines, substations, wind turbines, solar farms, and as well as the ownership information and the status of those different searches. This will become much more of a relevant conversation. It's been a more relevant conversation recently as folks are becoming more aware of other opportunities for highest and best use of their land. One thing to note that the government has now shut down new access to the substation data set, which means that AcreValue is one of the only places you can go to find this information. So let's talk about like how do folks use AcreValue? For a consumer audience who might be using AcreValue for their own properties out of curiosity, we found that folks are doing some of the following. For folks who are interested in purchasing new land, AcreValue helps by presenting you with a map of parcels and local landowners, as well as active for sale properties. You can use AcreValue to research land prices or find local real estate experts or financing solutions. For folks who want to find land for rent, the process is pretty similar. You can search through a map of parcels and landowners, local or out of state, and then use AcreValue to research land prices and get in touch with landowners and start the conversation and propose a rental. We also see current landowners visit AcreValue frequently to manage their own properties. Primarily, this involves staying up to date with local land values and how this might impact your decision to sell or hold. Landowners also visit AcreValue to connect with other landowners and potential renters, as well as finding and printing property maps for their properties. On the topic of staying in touch with local land values, AcreValue also puts out periodic reports on what's happening in regional and state level land markets. So check those out on our website when you get a chance. Finally, for folks who are looking to potentially sell property, AcreValue the quickest way to estimate the land values, and then also prepare the market research needed to list your property. And if you're in the market to buy or sell, we also have a nationwide network of real estate agents and local experts. So just reach out to one of us, and we'll be happy to connect you with one of them. So next, we're going to just go over the demo of AcreValue itself. So I'm going to go to AcreValue here. Hopefully you all can see that. This is just the main page of AcreValue. So when you go to acrevalue.com, you'll see here as you scroll down a couple different ways to get where we need to go. So we want to go to the parcel map right here at the top of the screen, or there's this square here, this parcel card here that you can click on, as well as if you specifically know an address, you can put it here. I'm just going to click on this. I tend to always default to this screen anyways when I'm flipping between different pages. So that'll take you to the national level. First thing I want to show is like how to generate a report. So if you know the address of the place that you're looking to generate a report for or do market research on, you can put it here. You can scroll into a location, keep scrolling, scrolling, scrolling until you see the outlines of the parcels, then click on one. And then you'll get this, the card will expand and you'll see all of the information that's there. I have a particular property that I already had selected. So let me just go to that one. I like this one because it has a flood risk in it. So I'm going to, this is in Illinois as well. So I'm just going to click on the parcel. I'm going to select Get Full Report. That's the quickest, fastest way to get to all of the information the AcreValue has. And so as this is generating, I'm going to show a little bit later how to locate properties. I like to start with the report because a lot of times people skip over generating a report and they don't realize until much later, like, oh, this is even an option, where this is the easiest, fastest way to get your hands on all the data that AcreValue has to offer. So that only took like, what, 30 seconds maybe. And then already we have the report set up. So these on here on the left-hand side are all the tabs within the report, like the master report. Each one of these you can tailor, you can add or remove before you print the report. So starting off with the valuation page, this one just gives all of the miscellaneous information that will expand upon later in the report. It also gives the longitude and latitude. I know that's important for a lot of people to have that so they can plug it into Google Earth or wherever your software for shape files and things like that. This also gives land use and what the most recent crops were, as well as some other information on soil productivity and things like that. Going through here, if we have time, I'm going to go through how to look for comps in greater detail, but the system will automatically just pull a handful of comps for you based on preset criteria. This is helpful if you don't have any expertise in running comps like a realtor or an appraiser would. If you are somebody who's a professional user, I'm going to show you how to generate search for comps much more effectively. But this is just a quick and easy way of doing that. If you want to put a little bit more effort into it, because you know that you need very specific types of comps, you can select this advanced filter here. You can rate things based on factor of importance. So if I know that sale date and acreage are the most important thing, I can increase the factor of importance on that. And, and then that will give us new comps. But if you have like hard line filters, like I need comps only from 2022 forward, or I only want to look at certain acreage between this and this, you can apply general filters here, then select apply filters. And within seconds, it selected new comps. So moving on with the report here, we have the elevation maps. It's color coded to tell you the elevation. Vegetation maps, which there's a lot of information on this vegetation maps. I won't go over this, but we have different articles and stuff on the vegetation index and how useful that is. Soil survey, especially if you're working with a farmer or you're a realtor and you're working with a farmer, this is very good information. if generally the farmers know what type of PI or NCCPI that they're looking for. Flood hazard, again, this is the reason why I selected this one. It has a little creek that runs through the back of it that shows the flood risk, but the rest of the property has no flood risk at all. And it highlights that here and here. Crop history, this shows the most recent year, 2023. So it looks like they did soy. And then, generally it's flip-flop, soy, corn. But this is good information to know because sometimes you'll see where, soy's been run a couple times years in a row, and farmers know that a lot of times that's not good for the soil, and so they'll want to see this information and to understand what were the crops that were on there, and if there's additional work or maintenance that needs to be done to bring the soil quality back up. Next is ownership data. So this will have a lot more information when I go to generate a report. And then proximity to energy infrastructure. Another reason why I like this particular parcel, because you can see how there's a substation here. Generally, all the power infrastructure, when energy providers are looking, they're looking for the transmission lines and they're looking for the substations. So generally, when you see wind turbines are pretty close to a substation. And so you can see if I was somebody that owned this property, I'm seeing wind turbines are starting to come towards my property. So I might be in a good position to talk to an energy provider about adding, a lease to my property. So this is good for realtors too, because if you have somebody who's looking to list, this is an added benefit that you can, discuss with potential buyers. And I hear that realtors tell me that those are actually very lucrative leases as well. And then this is the easement section. This is conservation easements will be here. If there's a conservation easement, there isn't one in this case. So if we like everything on the report and we're ready to download it, there's a download button here at the top. And then this is where you get to select what reports you want. You can save like a preset, like if you know all the time you don't want a specific report, you can save that in here. Another thing too is it's really nice if you are meeting with somebody and like a listing appointment, you don't really need to know the elevation or show them elevation maps. These people during a listing appointment already know what the elevation is. So it's real easy just to unclick or unclick these. I'm going to leave them all clicked just to show how fast it is to download a report. And so the fastest way to get it in your hands is this download button. And so that's it. I mean, it's really just that fast. So what was that? 3-4 seconds, and we have the report. One thing I will say about our pro users, if you sign up for a professional premium account subscription with us, you can replace this logo with your own logo, which is really nice because you can really just generate this report and then show it to someone as your work product. You uncovered all this information, you want to show it as your work, so that's good. This is the comps page. Nice clean map, lots of information on here about the comps. Next we have the soil survey, flood, 5-year crop history. This is the ownership data that I said would expand when we generate a report. Lots of data here, distance to different biodiesel, ethanol plants, renewable energy, things like that. So, lots of information that might be really useful to a farmer. And then proximity to energy infrastructure. And you'll notice there wasn't a page that printed for the easements because there wasn't one, so they won't print anything that's not applicable. So if you have any questions or, we do have other webinars online about generating reports and more detail about that. If you're a premium user, you do get a 30-minute training session with your subscription a year. So if you have more detailed need, or if you just really want to like discuss your use case and how we would use it if we were in your place, feel free to schedule that by emailing support@acrevalue.com. I'm going to go back now to the search here. So we're going to X out of this, hit back. I'm going to show you now the search filter. So I've showed you how to generate a report if you already know the property. Let's say now you really need to discover property. You need to just you're looking for a potential piece of property for a buyer, or you want to just create a hit list of properties that fit specific criteria. We're still in the parcel section, so we haven't left the parcel view. Next, we're gonna enter an estate. Always start with estate. You don't have to put a county in. It does work considerably faster if you put a county in. And that's because you have to realize all of these data layers that we have is just tons and tons and tons of data that it's filtering through based on your criteria. So if you have the more search criteria you have, the easier it is to search if you're putting a county in. So I'm going to put in, just going to throw in a county. And then once I have a county in here, I click view all results. It's going to zoom us over to that section there. And then you'll see the more here. First off, before we go there, there's the owner right here. If you happen to know the owner of something you're looking at, or let's say you have somebody that's listing a property with you and you think that they have other property, you can put their name in here and search for all their property within a county, or remove the county and look throughout the whole state. But we're going to go into the more section. So we have new search filters that we've added, but I'm going to quickly go over the search filters that there are. So value, pretty self-explanatory if you only want between specific estimated values. Um, Mailing address. This is really useful if you have a listing and you want to market to all the people who are around it. You can use this as the owner's mailing address, or this radius search here. Both are new features. Both are put in place specifically with realtors in mind, because we know that you'll have a specific property or a specific area that your buyer's interested in, and you want to look at just properties in that area. So these two are new features. You can search by energy infrastructure. So let's say that there is solar or wind that's being developed in your area, and you want to see if how close your property is, or your client's property is, to energy infrastructure. You can search by all properties close to transmission lines or substations, or you can just see how far the distance is from your specific subject property to the closest energy infrastructure. Next is just the size of the acreage. I mean, this is really useful when you just want to cut a list down, especially if you are specifically targeting like 50 acres or more. This is obviously really useful. Um, Soil quality. If you're working with a farmer, or you are a farmer, we know that you are very interested in what the soil quality is like. The better the soil quality, my understanding is the higher the yield of the crops generally. So it could also play a value in the cost of the land. If you have two parcels that are equivalent farms, but one has a higher NCCPI or production index, it could be worth more because the yield of that farm could be higher. Land use is also a really popular one. This is where you can say, like, I want to search for grass pasture, forestry, or if it's a crop, I want to search for just corn crops. And if it was showed up on that one page that I showed you before, where the 5-year crop history, if corn is on there at any percentage, it will show up because I've entered that. If I want only specific years, or if I want only a percentage of the field, let's say 50% or more of the field is corn, I can put that as well. So a lot of use there, especially if you're trying to find a like kind comp. You know that your person has 50 acres, but only 25 of it's being used for farming, and then that's corn or soy. You can search for just those properties, or ones that are pretty close. Um, Another thing that's really useful, I think this gets overlooked quite a bit, is the location. If you're trying to create a hit list of people that you want to get in front of, let's say you're a realtor and you just want to get your name out there, it is good to work on a pretty methodical, like, by township level within a county. So you could say, I only want to talk to people who have 50 acres or more, but I want to do it within each individual township, so that I make sure that I don't miss anybody that I want to get in front of. This is extremely useful. You can actually go all the way down to the section square within a township. So, this is really, really useful. You can also prioritize that list based on in-state, out-of-state owners. Realtors will tell you that they tend to go for out-of-state owners first because that's a good indicator whether someone is more likely to sell their land if they've already moved to another state. This is a newer filter, road frontage. This is, again, if you're a farmer and with crops that you need to transport or equipment you need to transport, understanding where the closest road frontage is or where the closest interstate is, this is important things for you to know. And so that's available too. And I think in the future we're going to have water frontage as well. I know that was somewhere on the roadmap. Not if that is the case, Jeff. I think that is coming up here. Um, and then the biggest feature ad that we just released, highly, highly requested, is saved filters. So this is saved search filters. So this is if you routinely look for a specific type of client or a specific search, and you don't want to have to constantly be putting in these filters, you could set all of these filters. Like I've already set a couple. Let me just add 50 and then hit save and then name it, something, and then hit submit. And then hit submit, and then you'll have that here. And that will automatically preset for you very, very quickly. Especially if you are looking at it, like I described before on the township level, and you're going through each township, it's, instead of filling out all of this stuff, you can click this, put your filters in, and then select a new township and kind of just move through the list. It's especially useful when you are doing just repetitive work and you want to speed that up. So don't overlook that. If you see yourself doing a save search more than even just twice, the next time you do it, hit save. It takes 2 seconds, and then you'll never have to worry about losing something. I will tell you just from my own personal experience, there's times where I was like, man, I wish I would have I wish I would have saved that one listing or that one property that I searched, and I couldn't get the filters right again to find that property again. This really helps with that. And then all you have to do is hit apply filters. And then once you do that, it will show you the filters, all the properties based on those filters. And so there's another view called the list view. I'm gonna just click in this, but I'm gonna show you it more in greater detail when we go over the comps section. But I think this is very busy to look at. I think that the map view is fantastic when you know the properties you're looking for, and all you want to see is its distance in relation to certain things like a city or certain roads. When you don't know the property or you're trying to create a list, the list view is leagues more efficient to use. The biggest thing I think is that it's kind of set up like an Excel spreadsheet. If you're somebody that works in a lot of spreadsheets, it has these filtering options here. So I can like click this if I want to arrange it to large to small or small to large. And so that's smallest to largest. This is largest to smallest. So the great thing is all of these things in here, this is all customizable. So if you want to add the owner's name, bam, just like that. That's how quick that was. And then when you're looking through here, you can add all of this, any data that you think is important, proximity to energy infrastructure, things like that. If there's wind turbines on there, things like just all sorts of different search criteria. You can go all the way over to the end here, and you can see saves. Again, this was added before it's still a little bit more recent, before we had the save searches, because even me personally, I would see a listing, I'd be like, oh, I need to write that down, and then something would happen and I wouldn't write it down and I would lose the listing. And we needed a way to be able to just, heart all these listings and be able to come back to it later. If you see something that you're like, even for a second, if it's like, oh, that's something I want to look at later, click this. You'll thank me 100 times over, because when you're dealing with 2,600 parcels or whatever your search area is, it's so easy to lose a listing that you want to look at later. But yeah, so this is the list view. This is how I would do a search. Again, if you want more of a tailored search based on specific use cases, schedule that free training with your premium subscription. So I'm going back to the map view. That's why I just clicked map. Next, I'm going to go to the sold land database. So sold land, again, we were this whole time in parcel view. You'll probably spend a majority of your time in parcel view. Sold land, not to be confused with for sale. For sale means that's people actively looking to sell. Sold land are comps, comparable sales. This is what you're looking for if you have a listing, if you are a landowner and you're like, well, what is my land worth? This is how you figure that out. So you'll see here we have shaded in some listings are shaded in purple. Some are shaded in this like tealy turquoisey color, I guess. Um, that has to do with a verified comp program. I like to touch on this because a lot of realtors, a lot of lenders, lending institutions, appraisers put a lot of work into updating our site so that we have these comps, and these are really highly prized by people within the industry. So basically, we know that county data is imperfect. There's mistakes that are made all the time. Numbers are transposed, dates are off by one day, things like that. So what realtors and appraisers and agricultural banks do is they provide us with their sold comps and verify that the data is correct, or if it's incorrect, they submit something to us, and then our staff appraiser will update it. This is very highly prized by appraisers and different people within the real estate industry because it's been essentially really triple verified because our staff appraiser verifies it a second time, and so we know that the information is accurate. That's probably one of the biggest frustrations with people in the real estate industry is the imperfect data that unfortunately can cause them to research it a little bit more, essentially wasting time. So the purple one those come directly from the county. So we have a feed directly from the county. It's updated, weekly. It depends on what the county has. So if the county only updates their records on their end once a quarter, which is pretty common, within a week of those numbers being published, they'll be on our site. Some counties do it every single month. So it really just depends on the size of the county and their bandwidth. But the search criteria for comps works almost identically to what we just did for searching for parcels. So we're going to go up here to the more, and we're going to put in all the criteria that we want. Maybe we only want sales data from 2022 move forward. We only want people to have purchased with cash or a mortgage. We only want a certain size or within a certain township. Land use, same thing. I only want cropland. I only want, corn. You could put in the same search criteria, and then it's gonna, take from potentially thousands. Let's see what we have here. We have 315 in this county. This is a small county south of me. And if I say I only want 50 acres or more, and I want corn only, it's gonna take that down to 58. You could see how quickly that can cut down research time. So now I go back and I'm like, well, 58 is too much. I'm not going through 58. Let's go, within I know that my listing or my subject property is within this specific township, or I want to search by a radius based on that address of that property. Then you can start to really scale it down to where you really only have a handful of comps, and it takes no time at all to research. I always tell people that we help get rid of all of the noise that are comps that are not fitting your criteria. It's your expertise that lets you decide from those comps that are left over, which ones are most like kind. If you're a farmer, you probably know your land pretty well, and you can tell when other land is very similar. If you're a realtor or appraiser, you have expert level skills in recognizing that. And this is doing is getting rid of all of the other comps and getting it down to just a handful, so you can select the comps that are most appropriate. So the only thing that's somewhat newer in this section is the mortgage data. So if you're a banker on the line and you are wanting to know, like, I work for XYZ Agricultural Bank. and I want to see who's selling in my area, in my backyard, you could do that, and you could type in, Chase or whatever, the bank is, and you could see how many mortgages they're selling in your area. And this is a good way to create some really targeted campaigns, especially if you work for a very small community bank. Sometimes these more aggressive, larger banks just do a lot of outbound calling. And so you can kind of combat that by getting in front of people and introducing yourself and letting them know the advantages of working with a small local lender. How are we on time? I think I'm.
We're doing all right. We're getting close to just over the 30 here. So we've still got a little bit of time for some content, but we should probably go into the Q&A fairly soon.
Okay, do you want to cover the custom data?
Sure. So just a quick note about the custom data here. So Don was showing a lot of information on AcreValue regarding sales and land ownership as well. He pulled open the list view where you can see information in kind of that tabular list format. We do have other services available for power users and other commercial enterprise folks where you can export those lists of either landowners and their addresses or sales records via CSV. And so those are part of our custom data services. Again, they're available to our power users and commercial. Most folks are coming to us for that service with interest in things like, if I'm trying to market to a particular subset of landowners, if I'm a realtor or maybe a developer, for example, or maybe, I'm an appraiser. I like to have my sales on a spreadsheet. I'd like to download them directly. Come talk to myself or reach out to Don, whose contact info will be here. And we'd be happy to help get you set up with the right subscription so that you can order some of those lists, or at least we'd be happy to figure out what the right fit is for you. Um, on the topic of getting started with AcreValue, so for the folks who are just interested in some basic information, don't need any of the really heavy power user tools, but maybe just some simple things, go ahead and visit acrevalue.com. You can purchase subscriptions to the software online. That's the quickest way to get started. There are some short-term subscriptions as well for folks who want to just give it a test run before committing to a longer-term subscription. Again, for the folks who are more power users, commercial users, and enterprise, folks who see themselves using the system either every day, maybe every month, every week, something like that, you're going to want to reach out to the AcreValue sales team, of which I am part of, for a custom quote. We'll take care of you. We'll learn a little bit more about your business, figure out what information you need, as well as how you would best want to access it and use it, and then try and suggest the best fit for you based on the services that we can provide. With that, let's move into the Q&A here. For the folks who are with us, go ahead and use the Zoom chat function to drop in any questions that you may have for Don or myself, and we'd be happy to help you out.
Sorry,
And
my
that's
thing. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's a great question. So I'll tee it up for you. So there's a question in the chat. How do we print the results of an online search? So great question. Don, you want to handle that one?
Print the online search. Sure.
Yeah, so the printing of a report.
The report. So are we talking about the report for like just a general report?
Yeah, if someone were to search for a property and say, I want to be able to print the results of the property search that I found, I have this property here. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I think the easiest way is to download it to your reports rather than doing directly from a print, but there's going to be a print button that shows up right here. Um, I always just like to, I think it's just me. I just like to save stuff to my local drive and then from there print it. But if you want to just print, you can right here in the top right-hand corner is the print button. Download is what I normally do. This is where, again, where you can select which reports you want, and then you hit continue. And then again, from here, you can print or you can download. Um, I tend to download and then we'll open the report and then just print from here. If you can see in the top right-hand corner. Hopefully
And
that
I do
answers
see
your
a
question.
follow-up to this as well. So also curious about an online search of a group of owners. So maybe that would be something in regards to like the list view. That gets into our custom data services. So this information you can view online. There's not a way to export this via print or anything like that. That's a service that we reserve for the custom data services. So if you are curious about getting the results of an online search and saying, hey, look, there are some owners here that I would really like to reach out to. I'd rather have it in a CSV rather than to have it in a in the system like Don is showing here. Then certainly come reach out and talk to us, and we'd be happy to figure out what's within your budget, what are some of the different information that you're looking for, and how we can get this in your hands so that you can use it to reach out to landowners.
Perfect. Any other questions? You can also send any questions you have to support@acrevalue.com. I answer those tickets. I will get back with you in regards to any questions you might have. Again, if you are a pro user or if you are deciding to sign up as a pro user, you get an onboarding session, which is very close to our training session. But again, sometimes we have people that like after a month of use, they want a deeper look into how to use AcreValue. We do a AcreValue 102 and 103, which also covers a lot of information, but I think it's a lot easier and better if you or your team just has like a session with myself or Jeff. So keep that in mind that training is part of your subscription for premium use, premium and enterprise.
Looks like we're okay on the questions. So we'll close by saying again, for the folks who joined a little bit later, we have been recording this webinar. And so once the recording has been processed, we will be sending out a link to the recording and letting folks know via email so you can view the recording online. Thank you for joining us today. We're very glad to host you here, and thank you for your interest in AcreValue and your curiosity. Hope to see you exploring the platform soon, and have a great rest of your day.